5A, report on September 2024 Operations Department.
You're back, Damon.
You got more?
The highlights.
Yes. I do have some snaps of the operational dashboards, gives everybody an opportunity to understand kind of what we can look at through out the field. And so not to confuse everybody, but to just kind of help animators. So that Centric software we're talking about, AMI, can speak to this work order software, and the work order software can cover a whole host of things. It can be mechanics replacing radiators on generators to leak repairs for customers. So our customer service laterals. So this is basically the snapshot of the operational dashboard for September. Active service requests, meaning service requests that are still open and not closed. Open work orders. So we tend to kind of separate service requests from work orders. Service requests come from customer service, generally involve a customer or a phone call or something that happens through the customer service department. And then work orders generally come from other departments within operations. So treatment operator could issue a work order to an electrician to repair an item. So this is kind of right out of the gate. This one right here is check for leak. So this is service requests above and beyond anything else. What we get are check for leaks. And you have other parameters in here: check meter function, check pressure, connect water, meter swap, miscellaneous, occupant change, reread, what have you. So check for leak is right up there at the top. And then here we are with a service requests by category over the year. And we're still at check for leak, 388 check for leaks. And here we are jumping into, this is leak check by month. As you can imagine, August and September, you can see they just leak checks kept increasing over month. And as the wet season comes, obviously leak checks will drop off because folks won't notice leaks as much. All right, moving into open or work orders this year by crew. So you have from left to right, you have your administrative crew. That would be the ops managers. And then you have collections. So anything involving a wastewater pipe. And then you have construction. And you move all the way through all the different disciplines. And then way over here on the right, the kind of almost to the end, the very large one is our mechanical crew. So they have a ton of O&M, PM work orders, preventative maintenance associated, bless you, with generators. And then we are diving into work orders this month by crew, and the mechanics on the right dramatically exceed the rest. And so a lot of our preventative maintenance work can be documented. The accountability of our staff out in the field can be documented when it comes from preventative maintenance work orders, and illustrates that the work our folks do. Here's work orders by type. So you go from cost to serve, which is, hey, I want to put a meter in the ground here. How much is it going to cost me? Or, hey, I want to do this project. How much do you think it's going to cost? All the way down to troubleshoot. And right there in the middle are preventative maintenance work orders associated with your discipline. So depending on which shop you work in, you could have a whole host of preventative maintenance work orders that you work to complete. These are underground service alerts. We'll talk about it. It ties in a little bit to water quality, but PG&E and all those that their subcontractors, as you all know, have been doing a lot of work associated with undergrounding the electrical grid, and underground service alerts are just, they've been coming through for the past, I would say, several years now, and just really in a phenomenal volumes. So we have USAs within the thousands on it. It's past 1,200 USAs. And this is the tally for USA tickets for the last year. And this is a heat map. So what these are is they kind of give you an at a glance look at where our repairs are. These are associated with service requests. So service requests, like I said, are customer-based issues. So you can see that you start to get to yellow and white right there in the middle of Rancho. And then we're going through the different service areas. Here's copper. And then what is this one? Okay, let me see. Sheep Ranch, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So these are new service requests?
So this is a heat map of all existing and all previous. So this gives you an idea. So what we use this for is gives us an ability to understand where our areas are starting to fail more greatly than in other areas. And we can.
So this is not, does nothing to do with new service.
This is all service requests. So this could be check for leak. This could be check pressure. This could be repair. This could be check meter function.
Okay,
Yep, all tallied up. Yep. And so this is just breaking up the different parts of the service area. And now we dive into work efforts. And so we got to start off, I have to acknowledge that Jenny Lynn distribution crew not only did, well, I guess A2B, did it kick off in September? I'm a little late. Yeah, it kicked off in October. But right before it kicked off, we fixed 50 plus service lateral leaks while we have a crew replacing service laterals. So that work is going to continue. And here we are. This is a full service line replacement on Antonovich down a Rancho. You guys have seen this before. Connect the flare to the main, run a piece of what we call tough tube to the meter box. This is a 2-inch valve replacement on Davidson Court. So you can see a dresser coupling, and you can see that tap saddle is basically corroded almost to nothing. So our folks got in there and replaced that 2-inch valve and the tap saddle, and we're back in business. This is an 8-inch main break. So this is what an 8-inch line break can look like if you drive by. And this is a flare fitting at the main. So you can see that water blowing off right there, the service line to nowhere. So the service was tapped, and there might be a meter box sitting empty on the lot, but there's been no service line ran and no meter box set. And so sometimes oftentimes they can be the source of the line break. And this is the case here. And this illustrates the repair that was made on that AC main and the temporary patch on the asphalt patch in the image on the right. And here's another service line replacement in Rancho Milton Road. Guys just getting after it. And then the temporary asphalt backfill on the right compaction. And so here's West Point, more of the same service line repairs. We have one distribution crew member up on West Point and a treatment operator, and they work really well together. They do a lot of good work together. So here you can see a service line repair image on the right, kind of hard to see. Water blowing out of that poly tube and repair on the right. This is what a manifold service, like I was telling you all about. You got 2 meters coming from one service line from the main. This one dug its own hole, so that's pretty nice. You just walk up and slowly shut the water off and put a repair clamp on it, and you're the hero and you walk away. So great work for our folks there. So water quality. The undergrounding completed by PG&E and their subcontractors create a whole host of issues for us when it comes to water quality in West Point, because a lot of sediment that would be settled on the bottom of a water main came into solution and entered people's homes. So CCWD staff spent a lot of time in West Point working to flush that system in September. So we actually got to tip my cap to Will Harris, who's a representative for PG&E. We put the bulletin out to him, and he went to all these yards where these subs are reporting in the morning and let their foreman know that if you have a water buffalo and you're going to pull water, you actually need to get a construction meter from the water purveyor. And you can't just rip a hydrant and shut it off and expect everything to be normal. And so that was really helpful for all of us and minimize the impact the rest of the month for our staff over in West Point. So hats off to Will Harris. Thanks for doing that, because this takes a lot of time. And not that it's not a valiant work effort, but if you don't have to do it and you have other work to do and that jumps right in your way, it can be really tough. And so service line repaired. Now we're up into Ebbets Pass up in Arnold. These guys, this was the accuracy month for the Ebbets Pass distribution crew. So oftentimes you don't necessarily know where the repair has to be made on the service line, and you need to use a listening device to pinpoint to exactly where you might want to dig. And if you're dealing with asphalt, you want to minimize the impact of the asphalt as much as possible. So these guys found that spot, made that cut, and there was the repair. So hats off to them, pretty accurate. And this is Azalea Court, another service line repair. So this is something that we've talked about in the past. But the image on the left, this is the underground service alert. Red is power, orange or yellow is telecom, And you can see the white is the USA. So you can see that pickup tube on the VACCON over there with the light blue cover. So it's non-conductive. And this service line repair is under a bunch of underground electrical. So if you look at this image, the water line is at the bottom of that trench. And all of those are electrical conduit. And so this is from a safety perspective. We've gone round and round with PG&E, both in Poker Flat and the Copper Cove area, service areas up to Big Trees Village to talk about this issue. We have common trench with water and electricity. And most people feel like water and electricity don't mix. So, and our guys are in that crew. And so when they have to go out there and make a repair, it's really, it's kind of like, you're on heightened alert,
Damon, when you bring that up to say PG&E, do they just say, well, move your water line?
Yes,
That's what I thought.
exactly. Right. And so we actually, to their credit, they met us out in Copperopolis and we looked at multiple sites. And they wanted to look for a way because we want them to implement a project to relocate their electrical. We're going through and we're replacing all of our service laterals. And so their statement was there won't be any projects of that nature in Calaveras County anytime soon. But we do recommend you guys relocate your service lines. I said, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
It's good that they're undergrounding some of their electricity though. That's a
Right, that
positive
is
thing.
good. That is. So there you go. There's the backfill on the right with the temporary asphalt covering the hole. O&M always, or maintenance always has to happen in any crew. So you can see the vac on the flex tube has got a rip in it. So that has to be repaired before you can go out and fix another water leak. And if you're sucking up sewer out of the lift station, you really want that thing to be.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the guy who takes the truck out to do that and doesn't realize that there's a hole in that either. You don't want to be that guy. And so then setting grade on G5 lids or valve cover lids, and then small amount of asphalt compacting around the lid. It's always critically important to know where your valves are, and if they get buried from a paving project, it makes it really tough when you have to shut down. Kind of hard to see in the image on the right, but we're basically putting up boards as a backstop around meter boxes so that folks have things to tie to when they want to do some landscaping around their meter set, and their meter doesn't just sit out and float out in the air.
Damon, could
Yeah.
you go back to that one on the left?
Yeah,
Is that a preventative maintenance job?
it is. So it can fall under a couple categories. It could fall under a county project where we give the county grade rings.
Mhm.
And if they're going to go grind out and repave a section of road, we'll give them those and they'll raise those lids. But it can also be something that we do on our own, where we're going to chip around that and put a grade ring and then put in some.
No, good to see it. And I learned that from being at the JPIA, our insurance carrier, one of our largest liability claim that we've ever had here at CCWD involves someone hitting one of our raised
Okay,
manhole covers
that's very interesting.
in Arnold. I mean, yeah, I think in Arnold.
Very interesting. Okay,
And it was determined to be our responsibility for having it level when they were doing snow removal.
got it. Well, I'm going to let you guys know. Hey, good on you. for sure.
Good preventive maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's more of the same. So that's what a fire hydrant meter looks like in the image on the right. So you've got the meter and you've got the isolation valve. And oftentimes the contractor will operate that valve and they'll put their own lock on it. And then we'll read that meter every month and then they'll pay for the consumption on that meter. And the image on the left, putting a locking apparatus on a discharge valve on a tank. So, folks love to go up to the tank valves and open them, right? So want to make sure that doesn't happen. Here's a 4-inch main repair at Sheep Ranch. There are 4-inch AC water mains in Sheep Ranch. And this one is a cross-country line that our folks repaired after hours. This is some of our mechanics handiwork, fabricating a whole lid on a wastewater lift station up in Arnold. This is lift station 2. So did great work. Keep that lift station alive and keep folks from falling in it. That's really important.
So with safety issues, are you taking photographs and writing this one up?
I've submitted, you'll be happy to know, I've
Okay,
submitted
good.
multiple safety award applications.
Good.
So I'm
This is
They're,
perfect.
and the mechanics are, they're running away with the baton when it comes to
Okay,
JPIA submissions. Yeah,
Oh,
they're doing
awesome.
great.
all right. I'll look for them.
Yeah, yes, please do. So this is right outside here. This is the stormwater retention basin. Our construction crew went in and cleaned up that basin, and they also installed the discharge piping for the retention basin, which can regulate the output from the basin. And so we are happy to report that I don't anticipate any additional work to happen in that stormwater retention basin here in the near future, or perhaps ever.
Do we have to
Done.
sign a annual contract for maintenance?
I do not believe so.
I am being asked to do that for my clients. They have to hire somebody. So I'm thinking of just getting trained to be the guy that goes out and inspects those.
Very interesting.
They
Yeah,
want you to sign an annual service contract for the maintenance of these systems.
Hmm. Wow.
So don't bring that up.
Yeah, no. No, not at all. So in August, you'll recall, we replaced the Dorrington pressure reducing valve and station. And so we completed the last cleanup of the site. And that's the image on the left, kind of at the top of the screen is the pressure reducing valve vault in the ground, everything cleaned, G5 lids to grade in the base rock, and then getting rid of the rest of the final bit of trash in the trailer in the image on the right. And this is the installation of the gas line. I forgot an E there, word line. Right out here at the maintenance shop. So that generator, we're just waiting for the regulator from PG&E, and we will have that natural gas generator hooked up and installed and ready to go. This is the rental property off of Silver Rapids Road. Pouring some concrete sidewalks and completing some incidental work. And finally, you know, hats off to the CAL FIRE crew. They do a lot of work for CCWD. Here they are prepping White Pines for cleanup from our construction crew that's been out there the past week and a half. Do a few nights.
Why is White Pine so low right now?
I believe that's just the natural inflow into it. Yeah. And we're actually added, we increased the outflow just a little bit so we could get rid of more of the tulies.
Gotcha.
All right. Any questions on this? Bertha, do you have any questions for Damon?
Thank you, Damon.
Oh,
Awesome.
yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I do want to refer to the retention pond, and I remember how much Russ had, well, he gave us input on the retention pond issue before we moved into the headquarters. So acknowledge Director Thomas for that. I have a couple of questions on, you completed the survey on the lead connections.
We did. Yes.
Okay, and I just wanted to know if you learned anything or you had any findings, or is it just something that we finished?
Yes. So 13,000 plus service connections. We surveyed 1,056. We actually physically put our eyes on those. And we did not find any services that were galvanized in need of replacement. So the way the EPA has graded service laterals is it can be plastic, it can be galvanized or other metals, or it can be galvanized in need of replacement, meaning that you suspect that somewhere tied in on either the municipal side or the customer side, there's lead. And so we did not find that anywhere in the system. We did find some galvanized on the customer side. However, on the CCWD side, our services were all polyethylene. So there's no presence of lead on that side. So there's no concern that there's galvanized in need of replacement. So we submitted that on October 15th. The deadline was the 16th. There is a letter on the website describing the lead service line inventory requirement. And there's my email and my phone number on there. If you want to talk about the service line inventory in detail, we can dive in. We completed the process through our work order system. So the WebSoft developers who owns Mobile MMS, which is our work order system, essentially randomly generated these 1,056 addresses. And we shot out work orders for one of our crews, and they physically went out. And when they were allowed to access private property, they took a look at the service line at the meter box and at the home. visual inspections. We did not dig trenches or ditches on people's property. What the
Wonderful.
EPA chooses to do with the information, from what I understand, the most recent information is eliminate all lead service lines within 10 years is what has been said. I'm not sure what it means for water purveyors at this point.
Mhm. Okay, but just the fact that you completed it and had good results, and I'm pleased with that.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
Okay, you had a comment on the disinfection byproduct reduction in the Ebbets Pass service area. And you're working now to request the state to lift the order. What does that mean?
So if you recall, in 2020, CCWD received a notice of violation for disinfection byproducts,
Right,
which
right.
is
Uh-huh.
organics reacting with chlorine. We had one sample site above the contaminant level, which is measured in parts per billion. Since that hit, if you will, we haven't had an exceedance. And we've been working with a consultant, and we developed a plan, a long-term plan that included flushing and reoperation of the water treatment plant. So rather than batch treat water, meaning run at a high flow rate, fill everything up and shut the plant off, we slowly run the plant. So we run it at basically try to meet demand so the plant never shuts off, which allows us to minimize water age, and we continue to unidirectionally flush. So we're working to convey that information to the state and requesting that they lift this order now. The state was looking for a report from the consulting firm that we were working with. However, we felt the consulting firm wasn't giving us the information that we wanted, so they're no longer working with us. And so we're doing that work internally.
Remind me where that hit came from?
That was Miko Drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I can report that all those sample sites are within compliance. And
Wasn't that as a result of a tank problem? Animals had got in our,
No, that was, it's more complicated than that, which is why we were doing a root cause analysis
right,
to try to figure out how to refresh the water younger.
yeah,
that's, I bet you my parents' cabin is on that line.
yeah. Just
They're
run it
black.
30 seconds.
Blackfoot Circle.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, run it for 30 seconds. They're good to go. I will tell you though, not to be flippant, but when it comes to the presence of manganese and minerals in the water supply, Kevin and I have actually been talking to some regulatory bodies about funding to look for ways to minimize the presence of manganese. I mean, we use powerful oxidants, but manganese, even when it disassociates, goes into solution, it finds itself out in the system. And that is a challenge for us. And some of the treatment technologies that we're looking at will also benefit disinfection byproducts long term.
Okay,
Anything else, Bertha?
yes, the slurry line progress. Anything on that?
Well, we have 2 customers on the slurry line. And we read the meters monthly, and we work closely with Utica and all involved to make sure that everybody understands what water is being used and when it's being used.
Okay. And then my last one is a question. You had a meeting with SPI to discuss timber harvest. Was that significant or
Well,
anything to
so-
report on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So SPI has a timber harvest plan for their property above White Pines. It is going to come somewhat close to White Pines. And they met with CCWD, and we talked about the presence of water lines, cross-country water lines within their project area. And we requested that they not track their equipment directly perpendicular to our lines, and that they notify us when they are going to run extra heavy equipment in their projects, just so that we can be available should we experience any issues with their timber harvest plan.
Okay. That's
All right,
it.
thank you, Bertha.
Thanks.
Any other directors have any comments or questions for Damon?
Good job, Damon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public? Okay, great. Thank you,
We have
Damon.
one.
Go ahead, Mike.
Do they provide what I'm gonna call semi-treated water to the golf course?
Right.
I'm just wondering because I get different times of year, really strong odor of almost sewage water. When I'm going through the community, I'm just curious how that water is provided and how it's regulated to make sure it's not a health hazard.
Yeah, it is treated to a very high level and it's disinfected with UV light. And then it's stored in a reservoir we call our La Cantena Reservoir, which is off of Hogan Dam Road. And then La Cantena Golf Course uses that for.
But that's not what causes the odor. What causes the odor, one part of the 2,000 geese that poop in the ponds.
Surprised me.
But it's the turnover, the lake turns over if they, because they're currently using a mixture of recycled water, which is treated to a tertiary standard, which is drinking water quality standard. That's what happened. That's when it leaves us. But when it's stored in those ponds, if they don't recirculate those ponds, I understand they have plans to. The new golf course operator is fantastic, doing a great job. But it used to be like unbearable, but it was just the turnover of those pumps. It was the recycled Hogan water. And it comes out of the bottom of that. It's all the decay from the tules and all that other stuff. That's what you're smelling. I mean,
Are they using raw water right now?
so I believe that they had water running there recently. But then they had it completely turned off because they just did some tule removal the other day.
It would not surprise me because we could be very close to being empty at La Cantena this
Okay.
time of year. Our objective is.
Another creek on.
Hole number 7, it's called Pond 7. That's where our water comes in and they do mix, traditionally they've mixed raw water with it and that causes the problem. The county put in an order that they have an aerator on that pond and we got letters, it copied us,
Yeah,
and
that
it's
owner's a county issue and.
it's not there. They're not, the county has required them to do that and they haven't done it on that pond.
There's a new operator.
As I say, sometimes it's real.
Yeah.
More so in the real heated time of the summer. And not-
Well, you can understand why.
Okay, thank you.
It's clean water that's discharged into those ponds and the state has just recently allowed potable reuse for the first time ever. We're not doing it yet, but treated wastewater there is now a pathway to provide treated wastewater as drinking water in California.
Our first test area is going to be Hillvale.
In San Diego, they call it toilet to tap.
Yes.